I cannot believe this. It's like, come on, how?
A year ago, my first short-term experiment with Berberine was a total failure.
My body didn't like that Berberine, like, at all.
It has elevated my blood sugar, and so I've left it with that, because I had a whole list of other remedies to try with my brand new CGM. But since then, I kept reading the studies related to longevity, and Berberine was popping up again and again and again. Most of them, unfortunately, are done on pre-diabetic or diabetic people, and there is almost no data on healthy-ish people, which is a shame. So I've decided to give it a second chance and also do a more thorough experiment this time. I got myself 2 CGM sensors to test glucose, 2 blood test kits to look at ApoB, inflammation, and a few other interesting markers. Then we got together with my friend from Harvard Medical and Longevity Alliance, and we've came up with the following test plan. 1 week with CGM to set up the baseline. Then do a blood test and start Berberine. Compare CGM data day 14 with day 7. Then keep taking Berberine for months. Put another CGM in and collect glucose data for 7 days. On day 7, do a second blood test, stop taking Berberine, and compare day 14 of no Berberine with day 7, maximum Berberine. There's going to be a lot of data, but if you're like me and interested in longevity, you might find it interesting and useful. Also, I'm going to review the latest studies as well. So I had CGM installed last week, and it's time to bleed a little bit. I'm going to use a Siphox at-home blood test kit, and I'll leave the link below if you want to do something like that on your own as well. And that's Berberine I'm going to take for another month. Also, I'm going to look at my blood glucose and compare with finger test, but I forgot about that. Anyway, the basics, here's the kit. That's what we have inside. Wipes, protection. Whoa, I hope I don't bleed that much that I need gauze pad. Here's a piece where I need to fill up with blood. Place 4 large blood drops in each square. So have several lenses inside. The blue one is deep, the yellow one is shallow. Okay, this guy is more painful, but that's probably what I'm gonna do. I don't want to mess it up, because if you don't fill it up completely, then you're stuck. Maybe I should warm up my hands a little bit with hot water. Blood flow, blood flow, blood flow, blood flow. Come on. Yikes. Well, it's time to bleed, it's time to bleed. Yay, it's showing up on the other side finally. That wasn't 4 drops, that was like 15 drops. And I have second square to fill. Oh boy. Bleeding for the science. Right. Hopefully good enough. So let's start filling up the next one. Yeah, if you use this kit, definitely go for the blue one. Otherwise you're never going to feel this. I hope that's going to be enough. Also, while at it, I can check my blood sugar and compare with my CGM, since I'm bleeding anyway, heavily. Okay, it's my Precision Extra. $98. Yeah, which is usually what I haven't eaten today yet, obviously. And we can compare it with my this one is showing 105, so they're quite close. And CGM is usually delayed by like 10 minutes because it doesn't test your blood directly, it tests your interstitial fluids. Come on. A couple more drops. Oh, yeah, we have more blood. We have more blood. Let's more drops. Also, let's see what this guy will tell us second time. Yeah, see now it's 100. So we're about the same, which is pretty damn good. The new CGM Libres 3 was all over the place for a couple of days. Now it finally stabilized. Well, it's kinda almost to the line. So I think I'm going to just leave it as like that. Then I need to let it dry, put into the envelope. Well, first protection envelope, then mailing envelope, and just mail it. The results should come up next week. Right, hopefully this is good enough, and I'm going to start ramping up Berberine, and hopefully it will work better this time. We'll see. So what does science tell us about Berberine? For that, we're going to look at the systematic review and meta-analysis of randomized clinical control trials, which is a good thing. And they actually tested quite a lot of people, had more than a dozen of different studies comparing Berberine with placebo, Berberine with metformin, Berberine plus metformin versus placebo, bunch of different combinations. And if we jump to the results and conclusions, we see that there is a strong evidence supporting the clinical efficacy and safety, which is also important, of Berberine. So I'm going to look through this review, share it with you, and I'm going to split it into several parts as we progress through the story. So we're going to cover the angles of the study and compare with my personal results, kind of side by side. This way we'll get the full picture. And let's start with the safety. That actually was the first table I've looked at because I want to be safe. And what we have here is creatine, blood nitrogen, total adverse events, and they all favors Berberine, basically safe. And gastrointestinal, some people had some downsides, but in general not. So I'm going to be careful and hopefully, finger crossed, it's going to go well. And so I've been taking Berberine for about a week. I quickly ramped up the dose to almost 2 grams. And unfortunately, at least for me, I see no results. If you see or not, my average fasting glucose is dangling around 100. I'd like to improve that. And first week it was around 100. Second week after taking Berberine every single day, it's still sitting around 100. But as I said, ouch, painful. Maybe I need to add some baby oil or something like that. Ooh. I wanted to remove it while I make video. So I'm going to keep taking Berberine for another month, same dose, around 2200 milligrams, and we'll see. Hopefully it will work. Here we go. A little bit of oil did the trick. Ta-da! And the new marks I actually don't see, but that's what it looks like without a sensor. That has a sensor. And that's the site after 2 weeks of wearing it. Very interesting little gadget, isn't it? Well, I'll see you in a month. So back to the science and Berberine for glucose metabolism. And if you look at all the studies, we can see that Berberine works almost as good as Western medicines, which is impressive. And obviously it works better than placebo, and when you combine it with medicine, it works even better. And that's something you can actually test at home with simple finger prick or putting a CGM on you for a week or two, like I did. If you look at HbA1c, the picture is almost the same. Berberine is slightly worse than Western medicine, but significantly better than placebo, and combination, of course, is even stronger. And if you're looking at the blood sugar after the meal, again, compared to the placebo, great results, and combination gives you great results. Okay. All right, time flies. As you know, months ago I did 17 blood tests and started to take Berberine each day, 2 grams of this particular brand, if you're interested. Also, at that time, I have collected 2 weeks of blood sugar data with a CGM. It wasn't horrible, but definitely far from optimal. See this? So now I'm going to install a new CGM, get 1 week data on the continuation of Berberine, then another 17 blood tests, and hopefully there will be some improvement, or maybe not. Anyway, stay tuned. Ta-da! And thanks to the magic of the montage, we can quickly compare the results before and after. On the left we have a week prior to starting Berberine, and on the right, after. And, you know, here we can see the true power of Berberine on the CGM. Wow. What's interesting, not only the average and night glucose went down 15-20 points, but the spikes got about 50% reduction as well. Amazing. Of course, there is always a chance of measurement error, but I checked it against finger prick, and it was pretty close. Next step in our scientific review is Berberine for insulin resistance. And that's what I'm going to measure with blood. HOMA-IR levels and fasting insulin, because it is kind of more serious stuff than just blood sugar. Very good to take a look at. And what we see is that indeed Berberine is doing good stuff. It's improving HOMA-IR by quite a lot. And the last one is, oh, it actually even does something for body mass index. And of course, Berberine for lipid profiles. Also, I'm going to check that with blood test. We have here triglycerides and total cholesterol, both going down. And then here, that's HDL improvement, and LDL also going down, which is improvement. All right, let's see what I am going to get. Okay, so it has been, what,
44 days into Berberine experiment and 37 days into taking Berberine itself. And it's going to be the last pill I take, for now at least, before I do another blood panel. What's going to be ApoB, HRP, and another 17 blood markers. So I'm going to do a regular blood sugar check, just to double check my CGM data, which frankly was almost too good to be true. See how flat it is? All in the 70s and 80s, like that. It's almost unbelievable. And if you just compare, the results from this daily pattern, like my daily pattern through the last 7 days, that's after months of Berberine. Again, see how flat it is? No crazy spikes. Pretty much all within 100 most of the time. Slight fluctuations. Like, wow. So as I said, it's almost too good to be true. And the funny thing, the first week on Berberine, there was no changes. So it actually took a month for it to take hold. Well, hopefully we'll see some results or improvements in my A1C, which will confirm that. Although it has only been a month, so we might not see a real change, because you need like 3 months for A1C to completely settle to the new values. But 1 month should show some significant change. And I don't know what's going to happen with my ApoB, but it's going to be interesting, at least for me, hopefully for you as well. So, okay, we're done with that. Yes, and then just as another test, I'm going to eat my dessert. Of course, it's not a proper breakfast, but because I tested it in my previous video a month ago, it would be also interesting to compare. Back then, my blood sugar spiked almost 145, 150, almost immediately, which is kind of okay reaction. I mean, I'm not trying to diagnose diabetes here, but it only has 4 tablespoons of oats, and supposedly with all the extra protein and fiber I have in here, 4 tablespoons should, you know, stay much flatter. But anyway, we'll see. Hopefully it will stay lower as well. Okay, I need to warm up my hands a little bit. What do we say? Suffering for science. No, suffering for science. Need to really push. Okay, it's a big bleeder. Here we go. 1 big drop. Oh, actually, it is a big drop. Second big drop. I have to quickly check my blood sugar with Precision Extra. Come on. So 86, which kind of matches, right, what we had here. And it's pretty damn accurate. 86, 87. So I kind of inclined to actually trust this data, because initially when I saw, I mean, again, see this line, it's like so perfect. And I took some screenshots yesterday for our longevity group, right? I even made a comparison where would my typical day would look like in the beginning of the experiment. You see how it goes up and down through the night, and now the same from like yesterday. It's pretty much as it's supposed to be, and as I would expect it to be, considering that I eat low carb, high fiber, high protein diet, exercise every day, sleep okay-ish, and that's what it's supposed to be, except that it never was until I started to take Berberine. Anyway, this is going to dry up and I'm going to pack it and we'll get the results. And so I'm going to have another week without berberine. And we'll see what will happen with my blood sugar without berberine. So it will be like almost a crossover experiment. And I'm curious. Okay. And now I'm going to eat my breakfast. This is actually a pretty good thing. You have 4 tablespoons of oats, tablespoon of chia seeds, teaspoon of psyllium husk, sugar-free, fat-free yogurt, 3 tablespoons of collagen powder for protein, and 1 teaspoon of creatine. So, yeah, and some berries, frozen berries. So, tastes amazing. Has 35 or so grams of protein, a lot of fiber, and not that many carbs. So, it should be a decent meal. I'll feel it now. And guess what? This is all we got. It's already going down. So, I mean, it's what it's supposed to be, right? This is what you would expect from that tiny scoop of oats. And, well, the blood sample has almost dried, so I'm going to put it into the bag and send it out for the analysis in the lab. And then we'll compare the results side by side. But I'm going to stop taking berberine, as I said, and we'll see how it will behave by the end of the week without berberine while still on my CGM. I cannot believe this. It's like, come on. How? What does it mean? If you look at the week after I stopped, you can kind of see how the control starts to slowly go, well, out of control by the end of the week. So apparently it takes time for berberine to get on, kick in, and get off. And now we're almost ready to look at the real blood test results. But first, let's answer some of your questions which got posed to me in the biohacking subreddit. Which brand did I buy? I got myself Integrative, mostly because, well, it's a very well established brand, known for its quality, but second, it has berberine from different plants, so it gives you kind of wide spectrum and better chances to work. Can I ask you about berberine? Did you take one dose or split them up with food? Thanks for sharing this. I was splitting into 1 capsule in the morning, 2 before lunch, and 2 before my early dinner. And I took them about 15 minutes before food. 2 gram, is it the recommended dose? The brand I take, they do recommend 2 capsules 3 times a day, which makes it 2.7 grams a day. For how long did you have to take berberine prior to seeing lower blood glucose levels? At least 1 week, 2 more like it. Any luck with weight loss? I haven't noticed any weight loss, but 1 month wouldn't be enough time to realize any potential benefits from better insulin sensitivity. I would expect to see the changes in 6 months or so. But keep in mind, it's only potential to feed your cells more effectively. At the end of the day, you still have to eat less. I have a whole video dedicated to insulin and calories and common sense. Go check it out at some point. Have you tried dehydroberberine? No, I wanted to start short-term original OG stuff first, then longer term, like 3 months on the lower dose, and only after that I might try dehydroberberine if I find a brand I can trust. Aside from lowering blood sugar stats, was any other changes or side effects? No, I haven't noticed any changes or side effects, discomfort or constipation. But as with any herbal, if you decide to take it, start low, like a quarter dose, and slowly ramp it up. One possible side effect of berberine is prolongation of QT interval. Granted, it was observed only in IV studies, but it's something to keep an eye on. For the next long experiment, I'm going to get myself 6-lead EKG and look into that. And now, let's get to the blood test results. On the right is test before Berberine, and on the left, 6 weeks after. So first, inflammation panel. It's hard to say anything. CRP is pretty much the same, but it was low and stayed low. Vitamin D went down, but it's probably not related. Homocysteine went up. I probably need to correct for that with more methylfolate or maybe betaine. If you look at the cardio panel, changes are not massive on each separate marker, but each and every single one are pointing in the positive direction. LDL down, triglycerides down, HDL up. And yes, my LDL is not perfect, but I just did calcium score and it was 0. So I'm on the fence if I should aggressively treat LDL or not. Especially if you look at the metabolic panel. Well, A1C hasn't changed a bit, which is a little disappointing. But I probably only enjoyed 2 or 3 weeks of the beta glucose control. So it kinda makes sense, but I expected to see a couple digits lower. Now, if you look at the fasting insulin, the story becomes much more interesting. It went down 2 times. So HOMA-IR, insulin resistance index, went from 1.5, okay, but not great, to 0.7. Wow, this is freaking awesome. So where does it all leave us? Somehow I have more questions in my head now than before I have started. And I feel slightly dumber. Which is probably a good thing. It means that I'm hopefully moving along the Dunning-Kruger curve away from mountain stupid. Questions? Questions. Should I keep taking 2 grams of Berberine for life? Or will less be enough? Should I cycle? Will a longer period improve A1C? Will cardio protection become more pronounced? Are QT interval side effects real? Will dehydroberberine have the same or maybe better results? I guess the time will tell. If you are interested in that, please subscribe and of course comment, share, ask any questions. And if you are interested in other experiments like this one, before Berberine I have tested lion's mane to figure out if this mushroom can make you smarter. The results are in this video. Living is smart, aging is bad. Let's stay smart, right? I'll see you in that video.